I put out a blog post a while back called Mission First, which said, we're going to be apolitical here at Coinbase. We're just going to focus on the mission. What the hell is Black Lives Matter? Like, what, And somebody on my team came in and they were like, I think it's just asking for like equality amongst all people. And I was like, okay. Later, of course, I found out they wanted to like defund the police and they had all this kind of like crazy misallocation of funds. There was all kinds of issues with BLM. 300 employees did a walkout where they basically like refused to work. We should be focused on one thing. It's hard enough to change one thing in the world. We can't be like jumping around to some new issue every month. And I don't like this environment where like the employees feel like they can come in and hold the company hostage to whatever their current thing is.
You don't bend to the culture wars.
Yeah. Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah. Well, okay. I think what you're referring to is I put out a blog post a while back called Mission First, which said, we're going to be apolitical here at Coinbase. We're just going to focus on the mission of the company and not any of the other activist kind of social justice warrior policies that were running rampant at that time. And it had a big impact, not on Coinbase, but also I think a lot of the tech industry. I'll give you kind of the backstory on that. So yeah, it was around 2020, I believe. As CEO, you always host these open mic sessions and town halls at the company. And normally people would be asking questions about our products and competitors and regulators and like, how are we going to win? And around that time, I noticed we started to get more questions from the employees at these town halls about issues in society that were totally unrelated to our business. They were asking about like police brutality or guns or Middle East stuff or, social issues, right? I remember thinking this was kind of strange at the time because I was like, that's not why we're here. Like I'm just like anybody else. I'm trying to understand these issues. I read about it sometime, but why are they asking me what I think about police brutality or something like that? That's not what our company's focused on. And it got to kind of like a fever pitch at a certain point where it almost was like they were trying to see who could make the executives on stage like squirm the most with like the most uncomfortable, difficult question. And this culminated with, at one point, an employee stood up and they said, I want to know if this company is going to support Black Lives Matter. And I didn't really know much about Black Lives Matter at that time and what that organization stood for. And I declined to answer. I was like, I don't know. Well, I'm happy to look into that, but I'm not going to commit at this moment. And they did like a little bit of grandstanding and they kind of held the mic and they said, that's not good enough. I need to know, like, are you as a CEO going to support Black Lives Matter? This was kind of in the fever pitch of George Floyd and all this kind of stuff. And I declined to answer. And so after the town hall, 300 employees did a walkout where they basically like refused to work and they kind of went on protest and left.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Yeah. I didn't realize the extent to which this had happened, but like a bunch of kind of this activism mindset had infiltrated the company. And a lot of this originated, I later learned a lot of this originated in the universities. They were kind of teaching about like Marxism and how to speak truth to power and like be an activist inside these organizations. So culturally, this was like reaching a fever pitch. And
how many employees did you have at the time when 300 walked out?
It was probably 1,000 to 2,000 or something. So a good chunk did a walkout. And actually, it's funny. I remember there was one guy on our team, John, who he's actually a veteran, and all these guys were like posting in Slack about I'm walking out and I'm holding the count. And he was one of the only people who posted. He's like, you guys can leave if you want. I'm staying here to support our customers. I was like, so he had the balls to like stand up to this in the moment, which was hilarious. But I always appreciated him for that. But anyway, all these people walked out, and so I pulled the executive team together, and I had never experienced something like this as CEO. I was like, what is going on? Like, what the hell is Black Lives Matter? Like, what, And somebody on my team came in and they were like, I think it's just asking for like equality amongst all people. And I was like, okay. Later, of course, I found out they wanted to like defund the police and they had all this kind of like crazy misallocation of funds. There was all kinds of issues with BLM. But you might remember at that time, like every company in America, it felt like was putting out these flags and it was.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah. So initially I was like, okay, well, if it's just about equality or something, like put out some statement and let's get people back to work. And people came back to work, but I felt like something was very wrong here. I was like, we have a fundamental misunderstanding about what we're doing here. I thought we were here to kind of be able to create more economic freedom with crypto. And these people think that this company should become an activist company for social justice. And BLM, like, we are not on the same page. And what I realized is I had failed as a leader. Like this, it was one of those kind of moments where the frog was slowly getting boiled. Like people would sometimes ask me these things in the company, and I was kind of walking on eggshells around it because I was like, I didn't really know how to deal with it. I was like, oh, yeah. Like we're just kind of trying to be good for everyone. I made a lot of very vague statements, and it culminated in this walkout. And the more I started to think about it, I was like, okay, either I need to go as CEO because this is how companies are run now, like where you have to answer all these social justice things, or they need to go because I don't want to work in a company like this where we're just jumping to whatever the current issue is, trying to virtue signal and touch on some giant, whether it's whatever, Hamas or whatever it is that day, and like we should be focused on one thing. It's hard enough to change one thing in the world. We can't be like jumping around to some new issue every month. And I don't like this environment where like the employees feel like they can come in and hold the company hostage to whatever their current thing is. So I drafted this post, which basically said, hey, guess what? At Coinbase, we're going to focus on the mission, increasing economic freedom. It's okay if you can have whatever political beliefs or anything you want outside of that, but like keep it outside of work, right? We're here to focus on work, at work, which sounds like kind of an obvious statement. But at that time, this was highly contrarian. Let's just put it that way. And I knew that this was going to be controversial if I put it out. In fact, there were people inside the company who begged me not to post this. They said, this will destroy the company. An underrepresented person will never work at this company again. And I was like, as a young CEO, I was kind of like, is that true? That doesn't sound right. So I went and talked to like groups of employees, like including our Black employees and other groups. And I kind of asked them, and I was like, do you care if we're like a social justice company? And they were like, no, we just want to like come in here, do good work, like learn things, have an impact, like make more money. Like it's the kind of stuff everybody wants. And so my instinct was telling me the level of fear is like totally out of proportion to reality. And some people told me, if you post this, like 50 or 60% of all the employees are going to quit, or they're going to walk out again and protest. It's going to be an even bigger protest. And it was like this kind of like moment where I was like, have I lost control of the company, or am I willing to stand up to this nonsense? And so I decided to post it, and I posted it and I announced it to the company. I was scared shitless, to be honest with you. Normally when I'm up there talking in front of the company, I feel fine. Like my leg was like shaking, my voice cracked like I was a teenager. Like I was like, I don't know if you ever have that moment where you're like trying to give a talk to somebody and then there's like a voice in your head kind of evaluating how you're doing at the same time. You're like, oh, I'm fucking it up, So it was like the most awkward presentation I've ever given to the company. I almost like was like wanted to cry. I was like, this is gonna, I knew it was gonna like piss off a ton of people. And afterwards I said, anybody who's not on board with this, we'll give you like a 3-month severance and like, help you find your next job. Like totally, it's my fault. Like I didn't make this clear up front, but this is the kind of company we're going to be going forward. So we got to all be on the same page. And 5% of the company quit. They took the exit package. And 95% of the company was aligned. We were all
nice,
ready to get shit done, go in the same direction. Best thing we ever did for the company. And suddenly like a few things happened after that. Like one, New York Times and a bunch of mainstream journalists started writing hit pieces on the company about how we were racist and all this nonsense.
Oh, go figure.
Yeah. By the way, a year later, it didn't change the demographics of the company at all. We had it was either the same or better metrics across all the things you look at, by the way. We just try to go on merit now. Who cares like what your sexual orientation is or whatever. I don't care. Like we just try to hire people based on merit.
No matter where you're watching Shawn Ryan Show from, if you get anything out of this, please like, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share this everywhere you possibly can. And if you're feeling extra generous, please leave us a review on Apple and Spotify podcasts.